Hello, and welcome to We Bombastic Few Season 5, Episode 9. And overall episode, for those of you keeping score at home, need to look it up, 61. 61 episodes. Actually, that's a lie. Is it a lie? You'll never know, unless you count. It is a lie. It's 60. Who else do we have here on this 60th episode?
I am Lindsay on this potentially 60th, potentially not 60th episode.
60 is 60% of the way to 100.
That's
some quick math. Oh, okay. Well, we're on fire today, Lindsay. I'm Daniel, and today me and Lindsay are gonna shred it. We'll be carrying, so shout outs to us.
Well, as you know, this is a math podcast, but before we get into the math, we're going to take a quick sidetrack into a social experiment that I've thought of, right?
Okay.
So, this is from a while ago. I just didn't bring it up at the time. So, myself and a friend went to see Doctor Strange 2, and we were sitting in the theater waiting for the movie to start. We got there like 10 minutes early, but the thing was is they weren't even showing commercials, because nowadays if you go into a theater early, before even the trailers come on, they show commercials for literally half an hour before they start the screening of the movie.
Right.
Or not even the movie, the trailers. And so we were sitting there, and not even commercials were playing. And so sitting there waiting for it to start, and it gets to be 10 minutes after when the movie is said or is supposed to start according to the ticket, and still not even trailers, nothing showing on the screen, just a blank screen. And I was sitting there thinking, and I was like, what if this is a social experiment, right? Because let's say you go in, everyone else in the theater is an actor, right? And the experiment is how long will you sit there before you go and try and make sure that the movie, like, something's not wrong. Because the experiment is testing, you're sitting in a room of, there's like 100 other people in the room. Mm-hmm. And so you're thinking, surely someone else here has already gone and done it, or is going to go do it, or the fact that everyone else is sitting here means that this is normal and they know something I don't know. And so my theory going into this experiment was that that person would probably sit there for at least half an hour before they got up and did something.
Oh yeah, half an hour easy, I think.
Yeah.
I think I might sit there for the entire runtime of the movie before even maybe even asking the person next to me of like, do you think they're gonna start the movie soon?
Like are you saying like half an hour past the show time, the listed show
Yeah,
time?
past
Okay.
the T0 is when the movie was supposed to start, and so like T minus whatever time you want to choose, I'm saying no one's gonna get up and do anything, even if it's a blank screen and they would expect commercials or something. But T plus however long, the question is, at what point on average do you think people would get up and do things or try and find out if something?
People,
I think
I don't know. Look, go ahead.
30 minutes is a fair point, and I'll say that because I think that I personally wouldn't be worried. I wouldn't be sitting there thinking, oh, these other people know something that I don't know. It'd be, oh, I gotta trust that these employees, like, they're doing their job, or have just like gotten caught up with something. Like, everyone has crappy days at work pretty much, and give them the chance to like do it. But I think 30 minutes would be still fair estimated time for me to do something.
Daniel?
Like for me personally, like, I was thinking I would sit there for 30 minutes, but then I thought, wait, when did I get there? And if it were me and I were in a theater and nothing was showing on the screen, and I got like 10 minutes to my showtime, I'd be like, this is kind of weird. And I would at the very least go out and make sure it says the movie I'm going to see, like, on the little thing outside.
Well, but
the theater,
so
and
you're
then I
in the
might ask an
theater.
attendant.
People I was sitting there. Other people are talking about Doctor Strange, right? Mm-hmm. So like you are 100% certain you are in the correct theater. And so like I can tell you my answer is at minimum 20 minutes, because that's how long it took for them to start showing the movie, and I did not do anything. part of it was because I was like presenting the social experiment to the people I was sitting around, trying to convince them that it was one.
Right,
But
of course. And imagine if it was a social experiment and you were getting all meta about it and it was hypothetical. And
I wonder if that's had to have happened before, where someone is in a social experiment and they think, "Man, this is so crazy. What if this was like they could totally make a social experiment around this? That would be hilarious." It's got to have happened.
But
I
then
wouldn't be surprised.
they're gonna puff their chest out when they find out it was a social experiment. Like, yeah, I knew it. They didn't know it. They had no idea.
I was messing with you. I definitely knew it was a social experiment.
But yeah, like in my mind, I would wait like 10 minutes after showtime, maybe. But I don't know. Your story makes me doubt that, so I don't know. It's hard to say. I've never been in a situation like this.
Yeah, a very rare situation. All right, movie plot, right? So it's kind of like Good Will Hunting. It's when that the janitor is the one that they're doing this experiment on, but then he has this idea, and it's not he's a genius math guy. He's a genius psychologist, and he has all these great ideas for social experiments. And they find out because he figured out that he just commented that this would be a really good social experiment when they were testing the social experiment on him.
You know, Brett, you shouldn't be spoiling the story of Doctor Strange 2. It's still, like, as of release of this episode, it's still recent enough. You shouldn't just be putting it all out there like that, you know?
Not sure I get that joke.
That was the plot of Doctor Strange 2. It was the janitor, social experiments. Anyways, just kidding, not spoilers, haha. Let's go see Doctor Strange. I hated it, but you should go see it.
Glowing reviews. The memes that spawned from it were pretty great. So
I don't remember the memes that spawned from it, to be honest.
It's very specifically the scene with people. You know the one.
Wait, did I see that movie with you,
spoil
Brent,
it.
or did I see it with other people? I can't remember.
You did not.
Okay. Here's what I'll say about Doctor Strange 2 without spoiling anything. It would be easily the most forgettable Marvel movie if there weren't so many laughably bad moments. And
I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of crazy things happen in it. It's so many crazy things that you're like, this is almost too crazy.
Yeah, I
don't
don't think. Okay.
Whatever.
Welcome to the impromptu episode segment where we do a movie review. I did not think
three, however many probably like 6-month-old movies at this point.
Yeah, I was not that fond of it. It was all right. Like, I'm glad I saw it, but like it just wasn't. I don't know. Marvel's fallen off a little bit, but I don't want to point fingers, Disney. Yeah.
Yeah. And how about Endgame? Terrible movie. Am I right, people? Everyone's in agreement?
For real. I fell asleep 8 times. 4-hour movie? Talk about a snooze fest.
I'm saying. Anywho, speaking
I
of
believe they even made $1 off that movie.
being pretentious about movies, so I'm sure you guys have been around people where you're talking and then they're kind of being a little condescending.
Okay, wait, sorry. Really quick pause. I realized I didn't. So, Mini Qualgorithm, Hypothetical, because what's a podcast without a hypothetical? Psychopath Quiz, because everyone knows that's what C stands for. Bombastic Word, Philippendulous, which means to be suspended by a thread. Continue.
Thank you. Okay, so you've probably been around someone.
Podcast.
Should I start from the beginning again, or just like?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've probably been
do
around
your transition too.
So you've probably been around someone.
No, do your transition.
Oh, do my transition. Oh, you're right. Speaking of being pretentious about movies, you've probably been around. Okay. All right. You've been around people. And they're being kind of condescending. And you're like, okay, this person's a little pretentious. It's kind of all right. The more they do it, the more you're like, I don't want to be around this person, usually. But sometimes it's funny. Depends how they approach it. Anyways, but a lot of times, people don't think of themselves as being pretentious. I don't think of myself as pretentious. Then I was thinking, well, what are things people do that make them seem pretentious, and sometimes it's using unnecessarily fancy words for things when there's a much more commonplace and simple word in place for it. And the ones that specifically came to mind, film instead of movie, score instead of soundtrack, dish instead of like plate or meal. I'm like, well, I like using all those words. And so I don't know. I don't think I'm pretentious, but I like words that make me sound pretentious. And so I'm not sure where the balance is. Where's the line? Am I pretentious?
Well, I hate to break it to you, but the definition of bombastic is exactly what you're describing. So, I'm not sure this is the place for that to be addressed.
Interesting.
It's just bombasticness. It's not pretentiousness when we do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're doing exactly what you said. Sorry, I don't do that. I'm bombastic.
It would be if someone were to try and argue that we're pretentious on this podcast. I mean, that argument is clearly philopendulous and very easily toppled and brought down.
I feel like score is specifically, I don't know, because like a score is something very specifically designed for a movie, and it is the music that is made for a movie, and I don't think it can have lyrics.
Yeah, it's
which
my
would
thought
be
as
different
well.
than a soundtrack.
Yeah.
Sure.
But film is definitely one that is
I have heard
just
people say things
more
about
respectable.
using the word film, not to me, but I've heard like just in passing, and then dish.
I hate the
haven't
people
really
that
heard
say
people complain
flick.
about.
Absolutely despise those
Flick?
people.
That's what
the
I
opposite,
haven't heard
right?
in a while.
Is you want to feel you just want to blend in with the crowd and be a cool
See,
person.
I don't feel the same way about flick that I think people feel about people saying film. I feel about flick kind of the same way I feel when people call soda pop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my point exactly.
Yeah.
It's different, but I don't like it.
Right. But
That's an
pop-
interesting proposition. Do you think it's just a dialect?
Maybe.
Well, because like that's definitely a regional thing, right? So I
Yeah.
wonder if calling because I could totally see calling something a film be like a California thing or something. I don't know.
Potentially. Are you saying that
Calling out
California is more pretentious somewhere?
highly pretentious. No, I don't know. I don't know a single. In fact, I think I don't know what the stats are these days, but we used to have a lot of listens from California, so we love California.
Yes.
Shout out to
100%.
California.
Whatsoever.
We also love everywhere else that we get listens from. And no other areas get our love until we get listens from that area.
Antarctica freaking sucks. No one likes Antarctica.
If you want us to love your home region, you should give us a listen, and we'll love
At
it.
least one. Ideally,
Give,
none.
give
one-
us
one listen
a
through
large
all,
portion of our yeah.
Through all 60 or 61 episodes.
You don't know. Maybe we only have 2. We deleted our entire discography.
It's a quick,
You
like,
think discography applies to podcasts?
collection, maybe? I don't know. We should have a best of episode, and it's just all our best bits compiled into one audio file.
I've
60 hours
so
long. 'Cause we're
Yeah,
all
I was gonna
Alright.
say.
putting out highlights.
here, it's actually just all the episodes combined together, just immediately concatenated,
Dude,
and
that's-
that's our best of.
That's the season finale. It's just all of our audio files just bunched up into one.
I actually would. I think it would be awesome to make some sort of compilation, but that's so much listening for a podcast.
Wait,
like that.
I-
That's the thing. You really need fans because like fans are willing to go through, or even just you like if you have enough people, everyone only listens to one episode or whatever. But the podcast creator themselves having to go through and listen to their own podcast for hours on end
Pain.
that sounds utterly because 60 to 61 episodes is 60 to 61 hours, give or take.
Yeah, like a dedicated fan makes a big compilation for us, and then instead of like saying, "Hey, you know what? We appreciate your dedication. We know how much you love the show. We can like hire you to do this kind of like editing stuff for us." But instead of that, we'll just copyright strike them and get all the monetization from that episode, becoming the very things we swore to destroy.
Exactly. I want to do it so like I think it will happen at some point, but I want to do it with Will Smith come to the podcast. Like I want to make a compilation of those segments and then put them all together and tweet that at Will Smith.
But there's so many of them that just happen in the exact same context. Like, how many of them have been in the outro? Like, shout out to Brent's Bob, Will Smith come to the podcast. You know, we're just listed off the bits.
Yeah, I think you're almost going to be insulting him with, you went from like kind of making a bigger deal. I can't think of like a specific example, but now it's just like, I'll just throw it out there at the end, the throwaway at the end. I think you need to make it special again.
I don't consider it a throwaway. Fine, I'll start inserting it.
Here.
I'll done putting my Will Smith call out. I don't know why I can't pronounce this word.
Dillis.
Filipino. I don't know. I give up.
Okay.
I don't get the point.
All right, another mini impromptu, not really impromptu because I planned it, but new segment is Hot Take with Lindsay. And my hot take that you will be hearing today is that open-toed shoes are very commonly ineffective, lack utility, and rarely look good for how common they are.
All right, I want to break this down one at a time. When you say lack or not effective, what are they not being effective at?
Well, they like do not protect your feet nearly as much.
But I'd say the primary purpose of a shoe is to keep the bottom of my foot from being in contact with the floor, which I think they do good enough.
Okay.
And on the other hand, when a rock or something gets in your shoe, it's much more of a pain to get it out of your shoe than it is with an open-toed shoe.
No, I mean, the chances of a rock getting in your shoe are far less likely to get into it if it's closed-toed versus open-toed.
Yeah, but then it's just a trade-off, right? Easier to get in, easier to get out, harder to get in, harder to get out. What was your next one? So it was lack utility. What was the next one?
Or ineffective and lack utility. Kind of following the same thing for that one.
Yep.
And then rarely look good.
I have no argument for that. Move on.
I don't
For
know.
how common they are.
I don't really think about it.
I
very rarely notice the shoes that people are wearing on their feet.
See, that's the next point. That's
Unless
the point
they're wearing Heelys.
I was gonna make.
Notice those.
When I see someone, typically, if I give anyone extra amount of attention or my focus, I do a like a innocent checking them out type thing. I look at their eyes, I look at their hair, and then I look at their shoes. I don't know why, but I've always done that. And I like because of that, I obviously like put to memory at least I paid somewhat attention to what kind of shoes they wear, and like I generally I think there's probably 90% of open-toed shoes are disgustingly ugly, and like I obviously like I don't care what people wear, but like I could never find myself wearing them or anything. Especially ones that like people don't wear socks with. Like the whole idea of socks is to like not get your shoes all sweaty and like nasty and smelly and help that with that, and they don't wear socks with them, so it just like, especially the Birkenstocks or whatever they're called that have like people's sweat stains all on them. Absolutely disgusting. Why do people exist that do that?
I don't have a problem with that because like you also get a lot more airflow, and so I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I don't really go around smelling mine or others' shoes, but I wouldn't think they get more smelly than shoes.
What a weirdo.
I know. I remember when the teacher was teaching us like how to properly
smell someone else's shoe,
yeah,
but in a polite way.
Yeah, and I just wasn't listening.
Shocker there. Daniel not listening to how to smell the shoe lesson describes the entire high school curriculum. I think convenience is definitely a
That's the thing.
big benefit.
I do get the convenience side of it. Brent, you've used the example of like shared like showers, like public shower or whatever that you had in your dorms. Like that makes sense. You saw on some shoes because you're literally walking down the hall. I also can. I personally don't do it, but I also understand that some people do it for the beach. Like that makes a lot of sense for them. And the only time I really got into an open-toed shoe was.
So you don't wear sandals to the beach?
I do not know.
What do you wear?
I literally wear socks and shoes and take them off.
That's highly inconvenient. How do you not get sand in your shoes and socks?
Like I take them off before the beach, or like I walk like normal and I don't get sand. Like sand doesn't get into my shoes that easily. Like I'm not kicking sand up into my shoe or something.
I don't believe you've been to a beach.
I haven't been to the beach, but the only time I did get into it was I had a pair of slides for soccer, and after a game I would take off my cleats and put on the slides, and because I didn't want to get my nasty feet inside of my like everyday shoes. So that's the only time I got into it.
And what was your final point?
That they rarely look good is all it was.
You have several more letters after that. You have RLG.
Well, like
FOCTA.
does the letter like after
It says open-toed
shoes
shoes are so often ineffective, lack utility, and they rarely look good for how common they are.
For how common they are.
Okay.
What was I was waiting for?
Trying to think of when I use my slides.
I think the biggest thing is just you take the trash out. You don't want to put socks and shoes on to take the trash out.
Yeah, like that. Checking my mail.
Yeah.
No, absolutely
If
not.
I just want to like take a walk.
You always have socks on. In the house, you always have socks on.
See, I think that's the big difference is because I don't like socks if I don't have to wear them.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like, have you never like? See, here's the thing. When I was younger, I like stepped on like someone like I was walking in the basement and someone just
Here's
like
the tragic
had
backstory.
had
We'll find
like,
it
left
all now.
staples on the floor, and so
You
like
think a sock's gonna protect you?
like not as much as I would like to, but like the fact that I can throw on shoes a lot easier, yes, why not?
I think you were just scarred as a child, and
I wasn't
you're-
scarred by it. It's just like, oh, if I'm gonna get hurt by it, why not just like be able to wear shoes easily, a little more easily?
No, I don't like socks. I don't wear them if I don't have to.
Yeah. I don't know.
Conclusion.
I like socks, but sometimes I don't know. I go back and forth. My body temperature is like never consistent anywhere. Actually, maybe I should look into that now that I think about it. Anyways, sometimes socks make my feet like ridiculously too warm, and sometimes it just feels like they're not working at all, and my feet are staying cold. Even if I put socks and shoes on, even whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Probably diabetes thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's no such thing as a decent looking pair of feet, so why not wear socks?
I know a lot of people on the internet.
I have decent looking feet is what he was gonna say. I'll finish it for you.
But
He's got
Daniel went back for me and edited the clip that I said that, and he inserted what you heard.
He has you have a album on your phone of just feet pics.
That'd be weird. I mean, but everyone has that, right? Like, that's not that weird.
That's the one that Google Photos
everyone's-
puts together for you.
be so
Everyone's
funny
going
if that's
around
a
smelling
like,
strangers'
a
feet and taking pictures. And
That's
not
a
everyone does
pre-made
that.
thing on like the iPhone or Google or whatever. There's an album that the AI recognizes feet and just automatically puts the pictures in that album.
It has like a preset of filters to like maximize the quality of a.
Yeah, you've got like normal, portrait, square, foot.
That's funny.
Those are your.
We're laughing about this, but
cameras.
this is all things that there are probably people out
Already
there
exist.
that are doing. So
Turns out we just lost half our listenership.
if you're an appreciator of feet, It's not for me, but I guess you do you.
Yeah.
Yep. I feel like I can make other comments, but I'm just gonna drop it there.
We don't
Not
know.
much to say.
This is a family podcast. Okay. A gentleman's 5'11", or I'm a gentleman's 5'11", because a gentleman will let me have it. And with that, we have the hypothetical. And speaking of being pretentious, the Department of Transportation globally became extra pretentious, and they wanted only a exclusive amount of people being able to ride their transportation. And because of that, they enacted a rule. I'm not going to try to give it a name because I'm not that good at improv. That everyone is restricted to one means of transportation with equal distribution. This does not include walking or running. So it would be I might choose or be allowed to drive a car as my means of transportation, but Brent can only use his private jet to get everywhere.
Oh, if
I
only.
think
One day.
it
Okay.
should be called the Solo Moto Travo statute.
I like it. So first things first, let's make the classifications, right? So because like you said, all the it's got to be distributed evenly. So everyone can't choose to just use a car their entire lives. And so let's make the categories. Are the categories literally like land, sea, air, or
No.
are they
I
motorcycle, car?
I think
speedboat,
motorcycle, car.
towboat, kayak,
I don't want to get like
stand-up paddleboard,
okay, so I don't
jet ski.
okay,
ski
shut your
doo.
mouth. I don't want to get like super specific, but I want to do like okay, car, motorcycle. I'm not gonna classify
So
a
we
difference
wanna limit
between
by wheels.
no. I'll get to that in a second. I don't want to get to the point where we're saying car and SUV. I want to say car includes okay, truck, SUV, all that different stuff. But so like generally car, motorcycle, we can do unicycle, we could do
I'm telling you, I think
plane.
wheels is the best way to do it. Of course, that you're severely limiting speed for most people because obviously everyone knows one wheel will get you 6 miles per hour.
Yeah. And then so I'm just going to I want to at least what I want to think is I just want to thinking just one kind of like a general boat and general plane.
General Boat. You know, General Boat was the name of my store that I tried to start up back in college.
I thought you were gonna say that was the name of your grandfather. General Boat.
That's a
Father
good
of
mix
the
up to
boat.
that joke. Yeah.
You've used that joke so much that a mix up of the joke cannot be good at this point. It's already
I don't care.
run its
I like
course 10 times.
Yeah,
Yeah, so how's
so
this
there's
affecting the
seriously
world?
only one category of boat.
I mean,
well, so
we can just like change it. I just said I'm
So,
thinking.
all right, I'm
that-
just gonna start listing things, and tell me if like it's in new category or in something I've already listed. So submarine, I feel like submarines are definitely in their own category, right?
Sure.
So we've got a speedboat or some sort of powered boating. So that whether that be a steam engine, a motor, whatever. What about like a sailboat? Is a sailboat a different category? Or a
Like,
kayak?
No, if
something.
I'm okay with switching up these categories. It just seems like that's gonna elongate this hypothetical beyond our interest potentially.
all right, like we could go. It seems a little overcomplicated, but if you want, we could go motorboats, like non-motored boats, submarines for boats,
and
and
okay,
then
and that's water.
we could go
Helicopters, and then jets and gliders. I'm gonna say, or like
Sure.
yeah. So
powered.
Well, why
turbine.
don't why don't we
kinds of
just discuss them
airplanes
as they come up? That way, we're
split-
not unnecessarily discussing things.
well, I mean, I think helicopters important for like medical evacuation. So I feel like that should be it. I think helicopters are distinct from airplanes and jets, but airplanes and jets can
Oh,
kind of go
definitely.
together.
I mean, a emergency evacuation doesn't matter if like the person needs help can only be transported
true.
by a bicycle. Like that doesn't help.
So, oh, okay. Well, here's one.
The-
What about a unicycle or a tricycle?
I feel like you go with just pedal powered transportation. So unicycle,
Paddle
tricycle, bicycle, quadcycle, the quintucycle, the
octo-
non-cycle.
The octo
I already went
cycle.
one above you, boy.
I'm not trying to go one above. I'm trying to actually name one.
Um, so I think bikes are their own thing, and then I want to say cars, I guess, motorcycles, and I think like semis,
Yeah,
and
semis,
monster trucks fall into the same category.
Humvees,
surprisingly,
might be their own thing. I don't know.
Four-wheelers, golf carts.
I think four-wheelers, golf carts, and ATVs are their own category.
Yeah, the people that end up with only being able to travel via bumper car are in for quite the world of fun.
And the people who have anything else are screwed because they can't do
trains.
the bumper cars.
Trains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
What about subterranes?
What about roller skates?
Honestly, I think this is the hypothetical. It's just categorizing all motion, and then next week we'll actually do the hypothetical you presented.
Pogo sticks, scooters,
Trampolines.
What about like
Mario
the suction
pipes?
cups from
what are the
Mission Impossible that you climb a building with?
Yeah.
I think that counts.
The thing that's in Meet the Robinsons, how they travel around the house, the mansion. Those like big tubes.
Dude,
I was thinking the bubbles.
when you stop being able
bubbles
to
too.
use stairs, you'll have to buy a new house because you won't be able to buy one of those electric chairs that take you up and down
Oh
the stairs.
yeah. That counts as one. You have to. It's a form of transportation.
Like if you get limited to that, do rolly chairs count as a mode of transportation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Daredevil like cannon, like being shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, that's fair. I thought you were talking about like canon to the storyline of Marvel's Daredevil, but I'll take that one as well.
Well, also the grappling hook.
Yeah, the
Oh,
grappling
can't
hook,
forget the grappling hook.
the Batmobile, the Bat Jet, the Invisible Jet, the
Okay. So I think you could go very into this, but for the
Horse.
sake of very simplifying the conversation, land, I'm gonna say you got trains, you got cars, and that's it. Like motorcycles, they're a car. If you didn't know, air, you got planes and you got helicopters, you got boats and you got submarines. So you got two for each, basically, and that's that.
Okay, sure.
Can we ride
and
horses?
the specific scenarios we can debate on what category it falls into.
Yeah.
But, so only 1/6 of people can use roads now. So I think just in general the societies are very much set up around roads right now. Roads only help 1/6 of people at this point. So
And potentially inconvenience the rest of them.
exactly, highly inconvenience everyone else. And so now on land, honestly, you just take a city, you almost need to set up a water lane that's able to support 1/3 of the population for submarines and boats. You got to set up like rail lines and roads for the other half, and that's the land part. And then you just got to have landing strips every now and again for.
You know what's really
planes and-
affected is accessibility, because you can only ride an elevator. And to me, I think an elevator is more like a train than a car. So you can only.
I agree. It goes on a rail.
Yeah.
I mean,
so-
yeah. I mean, there'd definitely be more ramps and stairs within buildings.
Well, right, but it'd be super inconvenient if you work on, the 15th floor in an office, but you
don't.
also are limited to cars.
So when you're applying to a job, it's like, just so you know, we're on the 15th floor. Are you a train person? No, sorry, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't work at the office.
You can't just play it around being.
We don't have a
15
parking
flight
lot. We just have
stairs.
a rail line station.
Exactly.
I think an interesting thing is that like, do you think there would be more airstrips or less airstrips? So like, uh, I would imagine the the density of an airport that we're used to today, at least in America, probably do not exist.
Well,
They
I
probably um, get uh, distributed to more of like smaller ones throughout the land rather than like be one location of
Well, because
multiple
here's the
airstrips.
thing.
I feel like there would be more airstrips devoted to like biplanes and smaller
Yeah,
type
exactly.
airplanes,
Because
as well as more
commercial,
helipads.
like current planes that can support hundreds of people are just absolutely not viable anymore.
Yeah,
And if you're a plane person, you don't commute with a plane. You just need to live close to wherever you work. And so, honestly, I feel like you would see a significant drop off in airstrips just because yes, you would have the people who are plane people are they're most likely exclusively work in shipping. Like if you were born a plane person, sorry, but you're working in shipping. Like
well, because
or
I was picturing like, why don't if you are a plane person, your commute would be you get on the same flight every day as do a lot of people, but you parachute off at a certain point and you like
Yeah.
land at your place.
that
Yeah, see,
is not
'cause
economically viable.
there's different real estate depending on what type of person you are. So there are houses where the driveway is a full runway to get your plane from your garage out. And then some people live right off the rail line. You step off your back porch and, there's a yellow tape at the edge of your
That'd be
deck.
terrible at night. Just the train goes immediately behind your house. I'm more
It's
interested in the
quiet.
people who have canals going into like they have a submarine port in their driveway equivalently. That would be so sick. I think I want to be a submarine person, even if it's highly inconvenient and it causes many problems. Like if you all um, two questions. One, which one would you prefer, like for utility? But then also, which one would you prefer if you could only use one, just like for it, like quality of life enjoyment? Which one would you prefer?
Um,
I feel
I don't
like
know.
no
I
matter what I choose for quality of life enjoyment, it probably like would all I'd be desensitized to it no matter what. Uh, but I feel like just staying with a car would probably be the play, honestly. Even with quality of life, because like convenience, like you even if this hypothetical were to happen, you probably will not be getting an airstrip right next to your house, uh, most probably, or a canal. So you most probably honestly have to. It's just gonna be more convenient to
I
have.
do think roads is most likely the clear choice, but I also think they would not be what they are today. Because,
Oh,
like I said,
definitely.
I think you would destroy over half the roads just because
Probably
they're useless to 83% of the population.
that, and like I think probably a dirt bike would probably be it, where you like it'd probably become street legal, and then you just take it on and off roads and get it to where you need to be. Uh,
dude,
and
less
it
speed
just
traps, like less.
potentially, yeah.
But imagine how much more air traffic there is. Like,
Oh, I was thinking of the fleet of policing vehicles, like the police train. Like that's do you see that? Like that's the police
it's
train.
no,
They're going to catch that other train.
it's actually just like sheriffs on horseback, and they jump off the horse onto the train and then climb off, like in westerns, and then they make
Well,
their
but
way to the engine, and then
I
make
think
them
horse
stop
is
the
a
train.
car, and so
Clearly.
Okay, so
they
and
can't.
if you're a car person, you can't board the train. Oh,
Exactly.
holy cow!
Maybe a horse is a submarine.
Maybe
Intriguing.
maybe a moose would be. I don't know about a horse.
So,
Yeah,
like,
like ducks are. If you current people who currently ride ducks can use submarine, but
I think
ah,
so. My thought on this would be like group things would be pretty tough. So like sports teams that typically travel via like charter bus or plane, and now they probably can't do that, or that's a qualifier to be considered for the team. And
Well,
then also like shooting movies, like getting a cast to say you're filming a movie that takes place in multiple different sceneries, like to get everyone, the film crew, the cast, everyone to get out to these different locations, instantly becomes so much more difficult because you got to plan for multiple types of transportation.
I think globalization as a whole just takes several steps backwards because you kind of almost go into a tribe thing where you have like the car people, they're never going to another continent, and just most likely they're not going to other places. So you have the like all the car people grouped together, and then the plane people, they're just kind of like everywhere. And then
hey, I
what are
mean,
boat people up to?
dude, boat people are OP.
They're probably the most
Well,
like
not for going inland.
well, they
Rivers.
probably travel the most, especially like they're able to do semi small, more medium scale traveling, but they also are capable of large scale traveling. So they probably average like the ability to do more distance than anyone else.
Well, see, I don't know.
The
I think planes have the widest, easily attainable reach, but there are places that you could construct bridges that give cars access to anywhere they need to get. Like where Alaska is up really close to
that
Asia.
the old land bridge. That
Yeah,
no
no,
longer
like
exists.
we just put a bridge there, and then
Okay.
if you're from Dallas, Texas, but you have a business meeting in Prague, you got a long drive. You got to go up through Alaska, through Russia, all the way to.
You were never a business person in the first place, but that's an interest. So we want to build a bridge between Alaska and Russia. We got to transport the materials, but now only a sixth of the people can transport those materials. We got to get the engineers, construction workers there.
Dude, no,
we don't really want to.
The airship
So-
is
Sorry.
coming back. We use blimps as cargo ships.
Are blimps planes or helicopters or submarines? I honestly, you could make an argument for submarine to me, and I'd be like, "Yep, they both go through fluids."
Yeah, you know what?
And are
I think that's
entirely
fair.
immersed.
If you're limited to submarines, you could also use blimps.
And in which case, submarine is the best one.
And
No
and then
competition.
if you're limited to boats, you could also do parasailing.
Yeah.
The wind-
There's like
yeah.
small little overlaps. Like if you have an all-terrain car, you can technically or amphibious vehicle, you can boat a little bit.
Wait, so can if we're making that a thing,
No,
what
I
if
don't.
what if we make the railings of trains go underwater, and the
You could not do that.
okay,
You
but
just could not.
but okay, but more not
We
really,
already
but
have
somewhat
stuff like that.
serious innovation to the train scene.
in a tunnel.
I'm thinking Polar Express style, going across bodies of water when they're frozen, and reconnecting to rails on the other side.
Dude, that's some people's whole job is to walk across stretches of ocean um, with like liquid nitrogen,
Yeah.
and then they just like spray it on the water or like dry ice.
I'm
and
sorry,
just
they're gonna
pouring it
walk
into
across
ocean.
an entire ocean and
There's a lot of
carry
that.
with them enough liquid nitrogen to freeze
Yes.
the ocean.
Okay, but we need to make trains able to cross big bodies of water, and this is how we're gonna do it.
I just don't. I just don't think you do.
Polar.
Like,
Okay, you're telling me that Polar Express is not a feasible.
Wait,
Doesn't
hang on
present
a minute.
feasible scene.
I need to pull up a map here, but how close is like Greenland and Iceland to habitable areas in Canada?
Iceland's very far.
But
Right.
like, could you
There-
feasibly like go across the Atlantic via land vehicle? If there would it be possible to create that infrastructure?
To Greenland, maybe. to Iceland, I'm saying definitely not unless we have a like unless the what did we call the world building? What was the name of that place?
Bombasia.
Bombasia. I can't believe we
Oh,
haven't thought of that. Bombasia, the bridge,
of course.
like that's the reality now.
Gosh, don't bring up that
Everyone wants to
cringe
move to
past.
Bombasia. You
Okay.
say I thought it was cool. I don't know what you're on
I thought
about.
it was horrible. A
Okay, so
low point of
Greenland,
We Bombastic Few.
I didn't think it was bad, but I'm looking at a world map, and I think getting to Greenland is feasible, but then
Yeah.
Iceland is tricky from there, and then even trickier
Tricky's
to
a bit of an
get to the
understatement.
British Isles.
Yeah, no.
I mean, Iceland is close to Greenland, but by land, yeah, I don't know about all that.
Well, I can't tell you one thing though.
That hit me.
So the thing is you need one central building or just one place that's accessible to all places, right? Because you need a hub, like a central hub that everyone can meet up at. So it's got submarine ports, it's got boat ports, it's got rail lines, it's got roads, it's got helicopter pads, and it's got um, uh, airstrips. And I can only think of one place really that could support all those things going to it.
It-
A home to video store. Blockbuster's coming back.
oh, of course. Oh, that brings back so
You
many
remember
memories.
going to Blockbuster and seeing the airstrips, the helicopter pads,
Yeah.
the submarine ports.
So everyone
the
had to
docks.
get the fresh copy of Shrek on VHS before they got rented out.
The
and so
Navy
people-
needed it. The emergency workers from helicopter things.
You know, because like the military needed training simulations, and it would be too expensive to buy that many copies of whatever Call of Duty was out around 2004, 2005. So they were flying to the helipads and submarining to the underground ports of Blockbuster to try and rent copies.
And
for training
who doesn't
sessions.
remember the rail station that went right through the middle of Blockbuster?
I mean,
It was actually
it's
dangerous at
unforgettable.
times. I'm surprised they let that happen because like there were plenty of stories of kids falling into the rail lines of Blockbuster, but
You have to think there was some kind of OSHA violation, but I mean, they were everywhere.
for real, honestly, the high voltage lines that went straight through there, but who knows? Whatever. Blockbuster was a crazy place, but it would have to come back. Yeah.
I think I think we hit all of our bases here. Sports, very segmented and broken up. It's tough to be an international athlete for sure. I mean, I guess you could have some of your athletes go by bus, some go by train, and some go by boat.
I think you would
or
just
plane.
have local teams that are the bus people, and then you'd have national and international teams, which are boat and plane people.
I think the one thing I'm disappointed about with this hypothetical is that we didn't make a single planes, trains, and automobiles reference.
Oh man, the radio sounds like works great. That's the only one I can think of right now.
There you have it. All right. If that's all we have on the hypothetical, I believe we have a word from our sponsor this week, Vape Juice. Now, you've heard about vape pens, and you've probably seen the concept. It's got the little cartridge with the liquid inside it, vaporizes it, etc., etc. Now introducing Vape Juice, bringing your favorite vape flavors to a drinkable, naturally produced blend. Comes made from real fruit, full of juice. They have grape flavor, they have apple flavor, orange flavor, you name it. Vape Juice has those juices. Have you guys tried your samples of vape juice?
They don't tell you this, but you can actually just drink it straight from the bottle as well. The little container it comes in.
Huh.
Tastes great.
Juice does taste better straight from the bottle in general. I haven't tried it myself with my vape juice, which is very different from my normal fruit juice.
Yeah. Vape juice actually has introduced me to a lot of brand new flavors that I've never been exposed to before. Grape, apple, all the different ones that they've manufactured. I've never had juice these flavors before, and the fact that they introduced me to such great flavors changed my life.
I will say they said that to speak your minds about it, you don't have to all say good things. I wish they would label it better for like children, because it looks just like Juicy Juice, the bottle does, and so they've had some problems in the past, and I definitely see how it happened.
I didn't want to say it, but I did have that thought. It reminds me of an old comedy sketch by Whitest Kids You Know called Kid Beer. Pretty funny, pretty out there, but like a lot of things, it doesn't matter. Anywho, your favorite, segment C, and as it always does, and as we all know, C stands for Psychopath Quiz. And we promised you, I believe last week, but sometimes we're off about that, but I believe last week we promised that we would take a test to determine if any of us are psychopaths.
Incorrect.
And
we said we were going to do sociopath, but psychopath works.
ooh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, did we? Crap.
Well, we'll do the sociopath one next week. This week we're doing this psychopath.
No, this one works.
test.
This one's fine. No, we'll continue.
Kill time.
No, this is fine. No, we'll keep going.
And
Right,
we're gonna learn where we fall on the psychopath spectrum. Oh wait, this quiz is designed to help give you some idea about whether or not you may be a psychopath or sociopath or have psychopathic tendencies. So I think it's close enough to the promise that we can say we delivered.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I did not see that.
Where's this quiz from?
This quiz is from psychcentral.com. And it's been medically reviewed by Timothy J. Legg, PhD in PsyD. I did not know having a doctorate in psychology. In Psyduck, yeah. You know everything about Psyduck. You know how he was programmed in every generation, his different growls in every game.
You can do the pixel art for him blindfolded.
You can do the normal art for him blindfolded. You even learn to 3D model him, and you have to cosplay as Psyduck for your senior report.
Your residency is just you cosplaying as Psyduck in your local town.
You gain psychic powers, and that gives you the qualifications to determine how people's psyches are. It's a really impressive field. If you're looking to go to college, you're not sure what you want to major in yet, and that sounded interesting, definitely ask your advisor about a Psyduck degree.
I do think you can only get a graduate degree in it. I don't think you can get a bachelor's degree in at most colleges.
I think I've seen some schools with a pre-Psyduck degree.
Oh, really? Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. The quiz is 12 questions, which is everyone knows that's all you need to determine whether or not someone's a psychopath.
Yeah.
And each one has 3 options. Not me. This describes me somewhat, and this is definitely me.
So the thing with these tests are that like sometimes you can be kind of biased judging yourself. Should we have the other people vote on the other each individual?
Yeah, I think I like that. So we'll read the question, and then the other 2 people decides what
each individual is.
Yes.
Okay.
I like it. All right, first one. Most would describe me as charming and nonchalant. I can turn my charm on and off like a faucet.
Let's start with Daniel.
Okay. I'd go with this is definitely me for Daniel. He's a little bit in high school. He was definitely a little bit of a class clown at times, and he was a funny guy.
Yeah. I would agree.
Daniel, you go with this definitely me.
There's one other thing we should note about these tests, and that is that they are 100% accurate. And anytime you take an online quiz, you should believe the result you got, assuming you answered honestly.
And never look to professionals to get
No.
evaluated. Never.
No, always self-prescribe. Always self-diagnose. I mean, don't self-prescribe. I don't think that's possible or legal. But, anyways.
Okay, Brent. Dan, you have anything to provide for Brent? Any point?
I don't want to cop out to this describes me somewhat. I don't know. Brent's an interesting kind of guy.
I am leaning towards this describes me somewhat, and that is because, like, Brent, I think you think that you're very charming, and you can be at sometimes, but I think you think you're more charming than you are at times. But at the same time,
I think this is just the reason you brought up deciding for other people was you just wanted compliments for yourself and to diss others.
I mean, I think that's just how it works, honestly.
Here's why I'm on this describes me somewhat is because I think he does turn his charm on and off like a faucet, but he does it in a unique way, almost like so if you're familiar with Norm Macdonald, he kind of has this thing he will do. He's a comedian, and he'll tell like the lamest joke ever, but he's so good with the delivery, like it, and it kind of works its way back around and cycles into funny.
Yeah, that's the thing. I want to find
Brent,
like a good happy in between. This describes me somewhat, and this is definitely me for Brent.
But Brent has this bit where like, oh, I don't know. I guess it's not so much recently as it was before. But you used to like do this thing a lot. You would like be the cockiest person about something. But like it was very clear. I don't know. It was charming, but you kind of took a different approach to it. I enjoyed it.
Okay, Brent, I will give you a little bit of ability to decide. I know what you're gonna pick, but you can pick between those two.
It would be this.
I was
definitely
letting
your
other people
discussion.
decide, so you tell me what I'm.
You know what? I'll put this as definitely me. The more I think about it, it is a different approach.
Yeah,
People definitely love Brent.
I think
So,
I'll give you.
I'll
Give you. This is definitely me because if for those who didn't know, he got like quite the ovation for his best man speech. So I'll give you that.
I don't know if I've told that story. I should tell that story sometime. I'll just say that it was. I was told by many people.
It's the biggest high he's ever been on.
Honestly, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, no. The more I think about it, the more I'm on. This is definitely me for Brent.
I would agree.
All right.
So
Daniel,
Lindsay,
what are we thinking for Lindsay?
I feel like of the three of us, Lindsay is the closest to a quote unquote normal person.
I would
I
highly
would describe
disagree. I would highly, but okay.
I agree with you. Specifically for this question is, are you able to to switch on a dime? And I'd say Lindsay's very consistent in everything he does. As in, like, it's not mood dependent, or not even mood dependent, but just like within a conversation, he doesn't switch back and forth between things. Like, he's a straightforward kind of person.
Yes, but I don't know that I've seen.
You're literally describing like sociopath, though. It's like not attached to feelings is consistent, but
I don't think that's the case. I just think you like are good at like holding it down, like keeping a straight face and just acting rationally, whatever you're feeling. On the other hand, you've never tried to turn the charm on me, I think. But
I mean, there's good reason for that, but true.
But he's also the only one of us currently dating someone, so like he had to put the charm on at some point. You would think.
I mean, I've been in more relationships than you guys have been combined, which could be a really bad thing or an okay thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely me. I just think he's more selective about when he turns his charm on and off.
All right, we're all looking very good so far.
All right.
I think that this is definitely me is the psychopath thing, is that you are not attached.
Well, this question specifically is looking good, like is a good quality, it seems like. But yes.
Okay, we need to go a lot fast. Well, I guess
I mean,
we lost time.
We can make
for,
the episode as long as we want, but
Is, yeah, it's fair. But okay. I do what I want when I want, the moment the impulse strikes me, regardless of what others want.
Who do you want to do first?
I
picked
let's
that
keep the
one
same
first.
order.
Okay.
Same order.
Yeah.
So Daniel first.
This is definitely me.
Yeah.
No conversation needed.
I almost clicked it. Yeah. Brent. I want to say this describes me somewhat. I think there are certain things that you'll do that you want to do, specifically with like wanting to like watch a movie or do a specific thing. Like as a group, you're like, okay, other people don't really want to do it. And you're able to be like, okay, I still want to do it. But there are also times that you're also very considerate. So sometimes.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think that's good.
I think for Lindsay, not me, because he is very go with the flow.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay. Next question. Right. If something goes wrong, it turns out badly, it's not my fault.
Some of these are hard to determine for other people.
I don't know what your thought process is, Daniel.
So Daniel, let's get your input on this one. What would you say for yourself?
It depends on the severity, I suppose. Like there are times I'll deflect blame for something minor as a bit, and then make everyone think someone else did something, like drop a spoon. People. I don't know. Or on the other hand, I remember, if anyone remembers Anthony from Imagine Not Having Audio Problems, I believe that was episode 4 or 5.
It was like 9.
Yeah, 'cause that's what I said. When we were like 12, I was at his house, and we were throwing stuff around in the basement, and we broke. So they had the lights in the basement where they're these big long bulbs, and then kind of that translucent cover underneath it, and ball hit one of those covers, and cover broke, and it's like 2 or 3 a.m. And we're like, what do we do? And we're like, well, we can't hide this. No extra covers or anything around. So like, we came clean, and that also happened 2 more times in the exact same way, and we came clean those times too. So
I don't know how you expect to like fly under the radar with the missing, I forget what the kind of bulbs are called, but like how you expect to, like, there's not as much lighting in the basement. I don't know how that happened. You like, no, definitely cannot hide that. I think that's always funny is when like as kids you think you can get away with something, like the child's mind's, oh, I could hide this, and like it's so clearly evident that like something's not right. Like
I think the question's more so asking like in a group sense, like if something goes wrong, everyone contributed in theory. Do you normally push blame onto the others and be like, well, I did my part?
I would say like it's like if I force myself to think rationally about a situation, like a group project or something, it'll be like, okay, this is where I could have done better. But I think like initially, like when I'm frustrated, before I get myself to think rationally, I'm thinking about how everyone else messed up. So take that as you will. Where do you think
we'll just go
falls?
with somewhat?
Sure.
I feel like that applies to all of us, though. It's like we could have that rational thought of like, oh, there is some potential self-improvement here. But like, I don't know at what point we need to judge. Is it our initial reaction? Is it our realistic reaction? Or is it our, like, what we end up doing? But for Brent, what do you think, Brent?
Well, yeah, because I would definitely say I would say it's the same as Daniel, except sometimes it doesn't always make it to like, I guess it was partly my fault. In that I definitely, in general, would say that I blame other people, but it takes a long time for me to like acknowledge my own culpability.
Yeah.
So then you would say not me?
Well, this is definitely me goes with it's not my fault, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait.
this is definitely me would be it's not my fault. So yeah, this is definitely me for you.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
All right, we'll just go for it.
Okay.
I feel like for me, it's goes back to like thinking rationally, like you guys were saying before. Like I am very aware, like okay, there's got to be improvement everywhere, or potentially improvement everywhere. Let's see how I can improve, and let's see how other people can improve to make this entirely better. So I guess it like because it's kind of like a general thing, I'd say describes me somewhat. Would you guys agree? Disagree?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
No arguments.
Yep.
All right. Next question. I've gotten into legal or criminal trouble as an adult beyond just like a speeding or a parking ticket or something of the like.
Definitely not me.
No need to debate. All right, Lindsay, do we know that Daniel has gotten into criminal trouble?
I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
There's nothing I can say. I don't know your criminal record.
I definitely think I ran a background check when he applied for the podcast, and
I don't think I have anything like on my record because it's never come up in like a job interview or anything. But it's a good story, but I don't know if I should tell right now. I am permanently banned from a certain establishment for things that happened when I was 18.
what classification of it is this? Like a Chuck E. Cheese or like type of like a gaming?
This is one particular Hyatt hotel.
Interesting.
Intriguing.
That'll be a fun thing to revisit later on.
Would you take that as? I guess it's not technically legal though.
I think
I would say it's not something I do regularly, but I've occasionally done things that probably aren't legal.
I would say
you're begging for this. What describes me somewhat, at least.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I wouldn't go less than describes me somewhat, but I don't feel like this is definitely me.
It's a very black or white question, since like, are you currently in legal trouble? As of right now, you're not in legal trouble, even though you've done some questionable things. So describes me somewhat's probably what I would pick for you with that information.
No. Brent?
Not me.
All right, that was the right answer.
I get away with
your mom
everything I
listens
do.
to
Yes.
episode.
Stealing people's license plates.
We can get
Yeah.
into the real juice of it after the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You can answer that honestly with us.
I am easily the best at what I do, bar none. Nobody could ever take my place.
Yeah, go for me.
So like I do think Daniel's really good at select things he does, but I don't think he would ever describe himself as that.
Yeah.
Like he's like we're gonna cut this part from the podcast. He's crazy good at triangle minesweeper, but
Off the
like
record.
excluding a joking sense, I don't think he would ever like claim to be the best.
Oh, I would claim to be the best at triangle minesweeper. That's about it. You show
The
me
only
someone
thing.
who's done better than 2 minutes and 32 seconds on the large
On an
map.
expert board.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe this describes me somewhat. No, I would say not me for Daniel. I don't think he takes accolades.
Okay. I have no examples to confirm or deny with Daniel. Brent, I would say you definitely have the mindset of thinking that you've like are superior at some things.
All right, I would present the argument that I think I'm better than the average bear at many things, but honestly, I would not say that I'm the best at anything.
I would
You
put
literally in the
some
middle of
way.
video games would be like, I am a god. You literally have said that multiple times.
Yeah, but I think like what I say and what I do is two different things.
Yeah, I would put somewhat for Brent, I think.
Okay.
All right. Lindsay, I'd also go with not me. Even if he is the best, he wouldn't like think so or brag about
I've recently
modest.
got a critique that like I've come off as cocky when I like win a game because I like laugh or say a joke, but it's genuinely like I'll do that because I think that like I'm laughing because I'm surprised that I won, but people think that like I think that I'm better than people, so like I've
We
become
get
super
it.
conscious of that.
Lindsay thinks he's the best at Monopoly.
He's
Well, I
got a
hate
very
Monopoly.
good evil laugh. Like he's got the laugh that's like this laugh is saying that I enjoy seeing you in pain.
That's the one.
Yeah, literally. So
I enjoy
right,
causing
all right.
chaos.
So
I do whatever I feel like doing, and I don't care what others think, or even if it's illegal. I think using previous evidence, we're gonna go with somewhat for Daniel.
Yes. Brent.
sure.
I think you. It's tough because I think similar for me, it's like you're gonna do something, even if some people suggest you don't. But the fact that they throw the even if it's illegal part, I think that turns it for both of us. What do you think, Daniel? What do you think for Brent specifically?
I'm trying to think of things Brent has done like, that people might have advised against. So, like, eating the Carolina Reaper would be one.
Using a weighted vest nonstop for an entire week or 2 weeks, whatever.
No,
it was.
that was baller. I encourage that.
Not everyone encouraged it because it seemed like unnecessary.
There were some genuine points where it was like this could be a problem.
Yeah. So I'm thrown off by the part that it says even if it's illegal.
Well, okay, I'm gonna tip my hand on what I'm thinking for Lindsay too. Is like I think the question's more so it's like if the illegal is just a way of saying like someone in a position of authority has said do not do this, whereas the other one it was just like your peers or whoever is telling you don't do this. This one's like do you have a I see it as a do you defy authority if you
Okay.
think that it's the best way to do it or whatever.
Okay.
I feel like maybe like in that context maybe for Brent, but I don't know. Given this is about psychology or like deciding if you're a psychopath / sociopath, I feel like it does mean I'm gonna do what I feel like, even if it's illegal. Now, whether or not you feel like doing things that are illegal isn't necessarily relevant, but I don't know. If you felt like doing something and then you're like, well, it is a little illegal, but you really wanted to do it, would you do it?
Okay, so I'll come clean on the podcast. I think the statute of limitations is up on the movie Thor: Love and Thunder. I went to buy a ticket, and it was like, "Are you a student?" And I was like, "Well, I'm gonna claim that I don't not become a student until the next school year." So
Wow.
I did get
I
a
forgot
student
about that.
ticket.
You know, just put somewhat.
All right. What about for me?
I felt like it was justifiable, and if I was taken to court, I could argue it. So, I don't know. I don't know of anything that Lindsay has done that is illegal.
See,
So
the thing
I'd
is,
go
like,
with not me.
I definitely like don't care. I have a good ability to not care what people think, but I also take into consideration what people like suggest or recommend. So I don't know, Daniel. What do you think?
I'm leaning towards not me, but I don't know if you want to skew that towards somewhat.
I mean,
guess
both
I'll
of
go
you
with that,
kind
but
of
I don't
lean
know
towards
well
not
enough.
me, so I'll hit not me.
All right, every person for themselves. I don't see the point in feeling sorry for other people and have no desire to help others. It's me. Hit
Yeah,
me.
it's Daniel. I don't think that Daniel is every person for himself. Lindsay, what would you say?
I this one's another tough one. I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I just can't think of a specific situation that argues for it or against it. So I don't know if I can really give.
Yeah, let's get person's input on this one. So Daniel, what do you think?
I mean, generally, I think not me, but I mean, I think not me.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I'm not going to argue it. Brent, I think this is you somewhat. Like, you do want to help others, and I think that again kind of flips it around. But like, I don't necessarily think that you would spend extra time just to feel sorry for someone. But like, you are still capable and do at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like Brent is compassionate, thinks about people, but
Oh yeah, I'm not trying to argue that he's not compassionate.
I'll give my input. I'll give my input for this one as well. I think as a philosophy, I'm very just like a strongest survive type thing. But I think when it comes down to it, like in real life situations, I feel more sorry, or I feel like people need help. But like as a philosophy, if you were to ask me, I'd always say answer.
That better summarizes what I was trying to say as well.
I feel probably not me, but if you want to throw it in somewhat for philosophy's sake, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
You guys get ultimate say. I'm not pressing the button here. You're pressing the button. You're condemning me to being a psychopath. Not me.
Call it Lindsay. Not me or somewhat for Brent.
I'd go with not me, I guess.
All right.
Even his philosophy.
Very confident. I'll take it. Okay. I'm just gonna say not me for Lindsay. I think he's very, very compassionate.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Is always willing to help others.
Yeah, it's not looking good for you, Lindsay. You wanted to be a sociopath last week, but you're getting a lot of...
I didn't say I wanted to be. I said I was claimed that I was told to take a test to find out if I was.
Should have heard him after recording. He was like, man, I sure hope I am a sociopath.
Literally haven't been able to sleep, excited for this test result.
He's already joined some subreddits that's like sociopath for sociopaths only. And...
Yeah.
r/I am a sociopath.
Yeah. Okay, I've gotten into legal or criminal trouble when I was a teenager, not just a speeding or parking ticket. Daniel, have you?
Okay, well, like,
okay, it describes me
18,
somewhat.
Does
Moving
18,
on.
19 count? Because it did distinguish adult.
I'm gonna say teenager is below 18.
Okay,
so 17 and below.
No, I don't.
I don't care what you're saying. This describes me somewhat. That's my vote.
I don't have any information to argue.
All right, I can go with that.
Okay.
You guys press the
So
button.
I'll tell you, I have not been in legal or criminal trouble as a teenager.
I don't know if you would claim this, but I both wrecked a car and I hit a gas station sign with the same car. No, not the same car, different cars. When I was a teenager. I don't know if that counts.
Unless it was on purpose, I don't think it counts.
Does excessive tardiness to class count as legal or criminal trouble?
You know what? This is definitely Daniel. Change your answer.
Okay, not me. Okay, we're continuing on. I have no problem or concern in lying in order to get what I want. Daniel, I feel like this is somewhat you. I don't know for sure, but I get that vibe from you. And I don't use the term vibe lightly.
I take the word vibe very seriously, and I am also willing to affirm that vibe is given off by Daniel.
That's interesting. I disagree, but you guys have the button.
Well, okay, but you can like, we've interjected and said things about ourselves when it was.
Would you like to
opposite,
offer a defense?
So, yeah, you could.
I don't know. There's not too many situations. Yeah, you know what? Let's just go with somewhat. That's probably fair.
Brent.
Also, I'm going to apologize in advance for my chair, but I'm trying to get comfortable, but it's really hot in my room, so sorry for the chair.
Brent.
Do the podcast standing up.
See, the thing is, like, I don't think I've caught Brent lying. Even if
the best type of liar.
Even if I have, I think I call them out quick enough that it just doesn't. I don't process it as lying because like it's already been dealt with.
This is definitely Brent. I call back Brent's long-term drowning in pretzel debt. And the amount of times he tried to tell me he had already paid it off leads me to say this is definitely me for Brent.
I will say I've got a friend who insists that my only form of comedy is lying.
Okay, but that doesn't
and,
necessarily give you a big benefit, like a physical benefit, and that's what I get from.
Hey,
maybe.
to
Okay,
I will. You lie again in order to get what you want. If what he wants is a laugh.
Okay, you know what? I will say this is definitely Brent because he also clearly I would almost go to the point of saying he lied to tell me and Christian that his AC wasn't working, and just to get us to sympathize with him that he had to
No,
You did. You were saying that he wasn't able to use his AC, so he drove 4 hours in summer heat in his car, and he just was it said it was so dreadful. He was exhausted for it, and we questioned him about it later. We're like, oh, that sucks. It sucks that your AC doesn't work. And then he finally comes clean and goes, oh no, I just chose not to use it.
I do not think I specifically said my AC doesn't.
You insinuated enough that me and Christian both thought that it was.
I insinuated that it was not a feasible possibility for turning
this
on
is
my
definitely
AC,
Brent.
which was true because
this is definitely Brent.
I was not
We've
going
spoken.
to
We both said this is definitely
All right, fine, whatever. Lindsay's not me. I don't. Well, actually, hold on here. I'm taking it back. That group text that I always reference.
The one that
with this describes me somewhat because
that is a joke. That is a joke. That's completely different.
Yeah, and you wanted a laugh, so you were lying. This describes me somewhat. You don't get say this.
Daniel, what do you think?
Well, it's hard
You were
to
in the
say,
group
because if
chat.
you were lying about this whole monologue about Brent's AC, then it definitely at least described you somewhat. But I don't know if you were lying about that, so it's tough. I've never played One Night Ultimate Werewolf with you, so I don't even super know how to tell when you're lying. I don't know. I think this is in Brent's hand, and then you can interject if you want. But I guess I would lean towards not me.
Too bad.
I definitely think this is not me, but I will just accept what you guys are throwing my way.
Somewhat. Go somewhat.
I did.
All right. So live in the moment is what I say. The future will take care of itself, and learning from your past is pointless.
This is definitely me for Daniel. Moving on. You guys can do me now.
Gosh. I feel like this is kind of moment to moment, but what do you think for Brent? Daniel, do you have something?
Well, see, me and Brent are kind of two sides of a coin of live in the moment, and I will take almost any suggestion in a moment, and Brent will come up with the suggestions and also go along with it as well. He's at least somewhat this way.
Yeah. Because I know Brent, gosh, I hate boosting Brent's ego so much. Brent does things very well, and I think he learns very easily, and I think that shows that he does learn from his past, at least to some extent, or at least from others. He learns, and he does things. Everything he does to a decent quality and extent. Regarding the future side, I don't really hear him really think, oh, this is my plan to obtain a Cybertruck in 5 years. It's just I'm going to obtain a Cybertruck. So I don't know if I really that's the only thing I hear about the future when it comes to him. So I guess maybe somewhat. What do you think, Brent? Do you have any interjection on this one?
I don't know. You have to really have a YOLO mentality to want a Cybertruck. That thing is
it's wild. And
so I think this is definitely me for Brent.
Well, I will say, in support of that, I guess, I will say my current retirement plan is to die. So
I forgot about that.
So I will accept this is definitely me.
Okay.
For Lindsay, I'm torn because part of me, I want to say not me in that he definitely has long-term plans, but the other day Mega Millions was at $1 billion whatever dollars, he was like, I'm gonna like, I was like, oh, how much are you gonna buy? $40 on like tickets, just cause, why not? So
It
like
wasn't just cause.
honestly,
That's not a fair representation because I told you that was still gambling winnings from the casino like a month ago. So
yeah.
that's like
Well,
that's
But
not
it's
just.
my
in
example
the
is just
same
plenty
way.
of times.
In the same
He
way
can
Brent
be
is
like egged on
recouping
to do
his losses from gambling like a month ago, Lindsay is working his way back down to neutral as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, return to mean theorem.
Yes.
Zero sum game. That's what life is. Daniel, what do you think? Honestly, I could be convinced for all three.
I think this is not me. That is my vote, but obviously.
Like, if it's just a live in the moment thing, I would say this describes me somewhat, but I think that's almost a misnomer based on the rest of it. I feel like Lindsay thinks more about how his actions now affect the future, and then also being reflective.
I want to meet in the middle then with this describes me somewhat, because specifically with gambling, like there have been plenty of times where he's just like, I'll just do it. I'll do it. Why not?
Because it bothers you. That's why I do it, Brent. It's not
Either way. That's the split decisions are live in the moment, so
Gosh.
somewhat.
Gosh, I did not.
All
Another
right.
one I don't agree with. My results
kn-
are invalid. I'm telling you that now.
I never feel remorse, shame, or guilt about something I've said or done.
Gosh.
I want to get input on this one. I don't know, because that's a hard thing to judge if someone else feels.
Yeah. Daniel, what do you think for yourself?
I mean, yeah, like, I usually, like, remorse, shame, guilt doesn't last too long after that, but, like, I'll have those feelings if I do something, like, bad, but, like, I do, like, reflect on that stuff. I try and, like, I think about it, and I cringe about the stuff that, like, my remorse, shame, and guilt eventually becomes I think about that moment and cringe and be like, oh, awful. Remove that from my brain. But
Yeah. So specifically the wording of the question, I never feel remorse, blah 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 blah. And so like, would you say that there are some situations where like you in theory should, but you never do feel?
maybe occasionally. I'd be okay with this describes me somewhat, but I think in general, like, I like have an appropriate amount of shame.
The Lindsay, what do you think?
I think the fact that this clearly says never feel remorse, and he's been able to give examples of him actually feeling remorse, would say that it's
I'm
not
leaning
him.
towards not me as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Brent,
then-
I think there are a few things. Like, I know I want to hear your input for this one, but I think there are a few things that you do so confidently, even though I think that you should feel guilty for, and but I think there are definitely times where like it is actually fully necessary that you're able to reflect on it appropriately.
I would have said similar along the lines of Daniel. There are plenty of things, like specifically I think of with jokes, there are plenty of times where it's like, dang, I think that was like a little bit too over the line. And like I definitely, similar mindset, can like just focus on things that like you've done wrong and just like mull over them for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the issue would be is there are definitely some things that like in the past people said, oh, like, oh, that's terrible or whatever. It's like I don't feel bad for it. And so maybe it's just that I think that's the thing, is like recognizing like what are the things that you don't feel bad about that maybe you should, but like you yourself cannot recognize those
Yeah.
because you just don't see them as something you should feel bad about. Man, maybe I've got a degree in Psyduck.
I feel
Oh,
like
yeah,
for what are we picking for Brent before I start talking about my side for mine?
I feel like I have to ask him a qualifier question on this. So, Brent, what sound does Psyduck make if you know so much about Psyduck?
It's Psyduck.
Wow. Okay. He knows his stuff. So for Brent, yeah, I mean, like, I feel like he kind of lands in a similar spot to me. I'd put him for not me.
Okay. I cannot interject on that. I know
All right, Lindsay,
Brent's
what were you
gonna
gonna
bring up the same joke. as he is applies for everything because I don't feel bad about it because I clearly stated it was a joke. And
You know, I just feel like we're not close enough to sociopath for Lindsay. So for that
Oh my
sake, I'll
gosh.
say Lindsay has never felt remorse, shame, or guilt about anything in his life ever.
This is definitely Lindsay.
So in all seriousness though, I take the idea of forgiving yourself pretty seriously. Like I definitely feel bad about things, but I am able to realize, okay, like I've already beaten myself up for this. I can forgive myself. I'm not gonna next time this comes up in mind, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'll cringe. Like I can't believe I did that. It's like, okay, I've already mentally processed that I did that, and don't like that I did that, and I'm not gonna do it again. So I'm
this
not
is
gonna...
more so talking about it, like experiencing it in the first place, though, not necessarily forgiving yourself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, so I do definitely feel it, but I don't ever, like what Daniel was saying, like go back and kind of cringe at it. Once I process it, I yes, I have felt remorse, shame, or guilt. I just wouldn't feel it if I rethought about it again necessarily, at least to the same extent.
So what would you give yourself
I think
on
that
this question?
I think that it says not me. However, my sense of humor, apparently, according to Brent, would disagree, which it's arguably like fair because like my sense of humor, mine and my brother's sense of humor, very much like pushes the lines of social norm and comfort, and so we purposely like make
That's
fun
one
of
way
it.
of putting it.
And I don't feel bad about it because I know like I grow social confidence knowing that people feel awkward in social situations. So pretty much I thrive off of other people's awkwardness or uncomfortability, and that I don't necessarily feel bad for because I'm trying to make them laugh. Like I'm trying to give them something positive. But Brent and Daniel, what do you think?
I'd go with not me.
Well, tell you what. How do you feel about the show Friends?
I don't mind sitcoms as a background show. I don't
Okay,
think I
then
could sit down and just watch it, but I enjoy it.
I think that puts him in This Describes Me Somewhat.
What? What is sitcoms?
Very
have to do with this?
wishy-washy answer. No, it's specifically Friends. I think if you like Friends, you're definitely a sociopath.
Oh my god! So you're telling me this entire quiz could just be summed up in one question?
Yeah. Do you like the show Friends? And then this
Yeah.
is definitely me.
How
not
many
me, or
episodes of
This
Friends
Describes
have
Me
you
Somewhat.
seen? Yeah.
Enough to know it's bad.
Oh, wow.
Bad show.
I will say everyone around me loves it, but I've
Sociopaths.
only seen like a couple of snippets just like passing through rooms, and there are some snippets I've seen that are very funny.
That's the thing about
Yeah,
sitcoms, though. You got to know that they're like kind of going to be dorky and cheesy at times. It's just supposed to be a goofy show. It's not supposed to be like comedy gold. It's not supposed to be like the most plot intensive thing. It's just supposed to be like a casual show. So enjoy
All right,
as
well,
such.
We'll go with not me. We
Yeah.
are seriously time. But we're on the final question. Final one. I don't see the point in taking on responsibilities of any kind. They just weigh you down.
Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel unfortunately is getting shafted on some of these questions. So you already know what I'm going to say. We can move on to the next.
Yes.
I feel like this is just playing off my particular situation right now. Which,
I mean, not necessarily. I mean,
I think
Podcast,
responsibilities and Daniels are antonyms.
yes. Cannot exist. It's like light and dark.
you know what? Honestly, this is probably fair.
Okay. I think Brent, this somewhat describes me.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I guess I can see that. It's more so Brent hates responsibilities, but I don't know if he feels directly the way this question poses it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Lindsay, what would you say for yourself?
I say definitely not me because as I'm a full-time student and full-time employee, I feel like my plate and table are full of responsibilities, but I am all here for disagreement.
Daniel.
Sure. Not me.
Okay. Epic conclusion. Very, very big results. All right.
Watch there be a
Did you have
paywall on these
results?
results. Ready?
No,
Okay.
I already checked.
What are your scores out of 24?
Okay. I got a 12.
Lindsay?
I got a 5.
I got a 13.
Okay. So the barriers are 0 to 12 is no psychopathy. 13 to 17 is psychopathy possible. 18 plus is psychopathly likely. So we have the one possible psychopath and 2 non-psychopaths. One just barely.
That's interesting stuff. They don't have like a score for sociopath, but I guess they kind of lump them together.
Yeah, they considered.
Yes, so I guess we do need to put together, or not put together, but find a sociopathy quiz and see where
Maybe we
land
can take it on
that.
our own time and just throw it, because I'm sure they're going to be similar questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, the ones short enough to do in a podcast are a lot less
Accurate.
interesting in terms of results.
Fair.
No, every online quiz is accurate. We established that.
And entertaining.
If it's not from BuzzFeed, though, I don't really trust it that much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
this one isn't from BuzzFeed, so it's hard to say. I mean, you might even argue the results are exactly flipped of what they would be in reality.
Intriguing.
Makes sense.
On that note, I believe we can bring this episode to a close. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, follow. Drop a comment even if you didn't like it. Drop a like even if you didn't like it. Maybe. I don't know. Interact with us. We really appreciate when people do interact with us. We appreciate it slightly less when it's one of us on our personal accounts that are interacting.
But we do still take it.
but we take it when it's just us interacting with ourselves. Final thoughts?
In regards to social media, the manager has been active on Twitter, so be sure to actually follow or do whatever you do, or reply to tweets or do whatever, because the manager has been keeping an eye on it. So we're actually somewhat active.
Yeah, and as far as other mediums go, the editor should be on top of putting together some highlights and posting those. I'll
Get in touch.
TikTok and YouTube type things.
Nice.
TikTok and YouTube short type things. So keep an eye out for that. That should be on our plates. Brent, anything?
I want to make a formal apology to Will Smith. I'm sorry if you felt like me talking to you felt like a bit. I never intended, Will Smith, for me wanting you to come on this podcast to be a bit. It has always been the deepest, sincerest desire of my heart that this podcast exists for you, Will Smith. This is really just a love letter to you. And so, Will Smith, from the bottom of my heart, please come to the podcast. Also, shout out to Mom.
From the slightly less bottom of the heart.
No.
Fraction
we
of a
love mothers
percentage.
here.
Yes. I mean, we do, but it's still from the heart. It's just not as deep. Because you just gave the bottom of your heart to Will Smith.
Right. It can't be occupied by two things. You might say the shout out to your mom was an afterthought in this instance.
Yeah.
Man, now I'm going to have to do a deep apology.
You
to
better have an
Mom
apology
next
prepared for
episode.
your mother next episode. That
Yeah,
could be
exactly.
your
I'll start
Qualgorithm.
drafting it now.
Shout out to Brent's mom, in all sincerity, from the bottom of my heart. And to everyone else, have a bombastic week. We'll see you next time.